Did you know you can change somebody's life by blessing them? I'll explain how. First of all, let's do some background. In Genesis, we know that when Adam and Eve were created, they lived in the garden with God, they walked and talked with him, they had a good life, they were blessed. But when they listened to the serpent and started to believe him and ate from the tree, their lives changed because they chose to believe the serpent rather than God. And so they reaped the consequences of that choice. And what happened was they were turned out of the garden. The land was cursed, childbearing was cursed, and everything they put their hand to was hard work. That was the curse. Now, when Jesus came, he lived as a man. He did not sin, and he died in our place. And Galations 3:13 says this, "But Christ has rescued us from the curse pronounced by the law. When he was hung on the cross, he took upon himself the curse for our wrongdoing. For it's written in scriptures, 'Cursed is everyone who is hung on a tree.'" You see, Jesus became a curse for us so that we are no longer under a curse. And when we accept Jesus into our lives, we also receive that freedom from the curse of the law. Now, the law that was pronounced in Deuteronomy 28, it gives you all of the blessings if you obey the law and all of the curses if you disobey the law. But now we have those blessings available to us. If we do something wrong, yes, there will be consequences, but we can always ask forgiveness and change our way, and we will be blessed. We can live in that blessing daily. Now, I want to tell you about a neighbor of mine. Years ago, I had a neighbor who would stand on his balcony and scream and curse at me. He was very loud, and some of the stones from my landscaping would occasionally roll under my fence into his garden, and it made him really angry. He would throw them back into my garden and just scream and shout. And one day his tractor broke down and he had toothache, and he told me he was going in for a nap. And I decided that I would put one of the scriptures into practice, which is Mathew 5:44, which says, "Bless those that curse you, do good to those that hate you, and pray for those that despitefully use you or persecute you." And so I decided to do that and blessed him by cutting his grass. And I cut all of his grass. And the following day, I was in the garden, and he came out into the garden and he called me over, and he was crying. And he said, "Why did you do that? Why did you cut my grass?" And I said, "Well, because you were in pain and because I wanted to help you. That's what neighbors do." And from that day forward, his whole life changed. His character changed. His attitude changed. And he would talk to me quite often, and he told me about his life. He told me about his wife who had left him, who was a born-again Christian. And there came a time when he got cancer, and I was able to pray for him. And eventually he died. But I know that he died believing in Jesus. That just that one thing changed his life and brought him into the kingdom. And you see, in Numbers, chapter 6, verse 22 to 24, there is this prayer that God prayed over Abraham and the people. When they had set up all the law, he prayed this prayer over them. And he said, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord grant you his peace. And I pray that prayer over you today, that as you go about your day, that you would know that that blessing is for you. You are blessed. You are protected. You have God's favor, and you have his grace to live your daily life and be able to do what he's calling you to do. And you have his peace, and that blessing is for you every day of your life. If you do something wrong, yes, there will still be consequences. If we are negative all the time, we will reap a harvest of negativity. If we judge others, we'll be judged. All of that is true, but that blessing is there for us if we choose to appropriate it. And I just encourage you, if you have people in your lives that are negative, that have problems, I encourage you to pray this blessing over them every day and see their lives change. I encourage you to have if you have people that are angry at you, that mistreat you, that judge you, whatever it may be, if there's something you can do to bless them practically, then do it and see the difference that it makes. I know that blessing changes people. It changes the atmosphere. It changes towns and cities. When you bless, it makes a difference. So I encourage you today to try this out in your daily life, to speak blessings over people. When you're thinking negatively about someone, change that into a blessing and speak that instead. And not only will it change their lives, but it will change yours. I want to leave you today, and I pray that it helps you, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.